What is up guys, Deadset here. In this video we'll go back in time to an unorthodox, underrated and nearly forgotten build, the Rend Barbarian. Let's go. This build starts runs with an activation of Call of the Ancients and Wrath of the Berserker. Both skills are to be kept up throughout the Rift, using the Immortal King set bonus. While Wrath of the Berserker needs to be cast on cooldown, only resummon Call of the Ancients when one or more of them fall in battle. Furious charge into battle and start your Whirlwind, stacking your Taeguk gem and healing through Blood Funnel. Apply double Rends to enemies in the thick of the fight, resetting your cooldowns and dotting them up for massive damage. To mitigate some of the incoming damage in Greater Rifts, use Warcry as often as you can, or boost your speed up with Sprint Marathon in Torment farming. The primary damage dealer of the build is Rend, a classic AoE tool known from vanilla. With its percentage and duration increased by the Waste's 2-piece bonus, its damage output tripled by the Waste's 4-piece bonus, and made stackable with the power of the Lamentation Belt, it turns from a mediocre spender into a fearsome dot that will bleed your enemies dry. It also reduces your cooldowns in sizable chunks through the Immortal King set bonus, and brings several viable runes to the table. The recommended choice is Bloodbath, as its on-kill bleed procs interact with the Waste set and Lamentation bonuses, and brings the highest damage to the table. The cold rune Mutilate can be considered in group play, as it brings a 10% party-wide increase in damage taken for the affected enemies, and quite importantly, higher uptime on your own Bane of the Trap buff. Finally, the hardcore-oriented Bloodlust rune brings decent healing in densely packed fights. Whirlwind is regarded as the most fluid barbarian spender, as it removes collision with the enemy and its low cost makes it easy to maintain. The Rend Barbarian adopts it for the percentage-based healing of the Blood Funnel rune in Greater Rift progression, or with the Hurricane pull in Torment farming. Whirlwind has the added benefit of reducing incoming damage by 50% and enabling Taeguk as a legendary gem in the build, so utilize the spin to its full potential and keep Taeguk capped. As previously mentioned, the reworked Immortal King set brings a powerful bonus by rendering two of the longest Barbarian cooldowns virtually permanent, Call of the Ancients and Wrath of the Berserker. Removing the time limit on Call of the Ancients, the 2-piece bonus of Immortal Kings keeps the barbaric summons permanently at your side. While they certainly can fall in battle, you should be able to resummon them immediately, as their cooldown is reset by the 4-piece Immortal King bonus. Since together as one will be the foundation of your survivability, you should never neglect the Ancients' uptime. If they fall, you will soon follow. Note that in speedruns, where the additional survivability from Together as One is devalued, you should swap into Ancients' Fury for effortless Fury management. The signature Barbarian steroid Wrath of the Berserker is strengthened further by the damage reduction rune Striding Giant in Greater Rifts, or by the pure DPS boost of Insanity in speed farming. Using the 4-piece Immortal King bonus, you should be able to harness the potential of this skill permanently and boost your dodge, crit chance, attack and movement speed by significant percentages. Once the tool of speedruns and Raycore builds, Furious Charge finds an unusual home in the Rend Barb, but its manifold utility makes it a natural fit. The elemental synergy of the Merciless Assault rune is just a damage bonus on top. The potential lies in the generator attack nature of the skill, triggering half of the focus and restraint bonuses, and the knockback property triggering the strong arm bracers. Add the mobility aspect and self-sufficient cooldown reset, and Furious Charge turns into a core ingredient of the build. Warcry is a 2-in-1 utility skill that brings extra toughness with the Veteran's Warning rune. The duration of the toughness buff long exceeds the decent 20-second cooldown, but you will often be incentivized to reapply it prematurely for the Fury generation aspect. A well-timed Warcry will often be the difference between keeping your Taeguk stacks, running from battle to battle, and having them fall off. In speedruns, where Fury is taken care of by Ancients' Fury, you can safely swap this defensive cooldown for Sprint Marathon. This concludes the overview of the active skills. Now let us look through the passives. Like a medieval lawnmower that is both armed and agile, the Rend Barbarian uses the Rampage passive to great efficiency, with the potential to stack up to 25% additional strength, increasing your DPS and toughness substantially. It is important to learn to keep this passive up. Always being on the move towards bigger fights, where killing minor enemies will feed your stacks, is crucial. Ruthless is a Barbarian staple, compensating for the single target weakness of the class, Rend build included. Once you bring your target below 30% health, your damage skyrockets with an additional 40%, ensuring the mortal blow will be dealt ahead of the timer. The resource intensity of double casting Rend dictates some additional fury measures, and Weapon Master is chief among them. As the build uses the Immortal King Boulder Breaker by necessity, the mighty weapon aspect of the passive kicks in full force and keeps your resources stable. Your last passive slot is slightly more flexible, with several synergistic choices helping the build in various ways. The general recommendation is Superstition, which not only reduces elemental damage taken by 20%, but also brings a valuable fury generation angle. Other options include the cheat death of Nerves of Steel or the passive regen of Unforgiving, but they are best acquired on a Hellfire Amulet. As a final note, you can devote this passive slot to extra damage in speedruns, taking Brawler. This build takes the combined power of the Immortal King set and the Wrath of the Waste set, taking 5 pieces and 3 pieces of each respectively and cubing a Ring of Royal Grandeur to reduce the number of items for set bonus completion by 1. The Immortal King weapon and Immortal King belt are taken as mandatory, since they do not conflict with the waist pieces. The waist shoulders are guaranteed to occupy your shoulder slot, along with 2 more slots of your choosing. Rolls-wise, this Rend-centric build takes good advantage of Rend skill bonuses on the chest and shoulders. High toughness rolls are preferred on the helm, pants, boots, and belt. As expected, double crit stats are taken on the gloves alongside strength and ideally area damage. As a final note, high damage range, good strength and quality ancients percentage, as well as vitality are the desired stats on the Immortal King Boulder Breaker. The ability to store the powers of Ring of Royal Grandeur in Kanai's Cube opens a powerful offensive combo in the Jewelry, the Bastions of Will set, Focus and Restraint. These rings offer an unparalleled 2.25 independent damage multiplier, as long as you alternate between a generating and spender attacks, a requirement which you fulfill by alternating Whirlwind and Rend with Furious Charge. Seek double crit stats, area damage and an open socket as the best in slot stats for both the Focus and the Restraint. There is a notable alteration you can make in the Jewelry to add more survivability to the build while still retaining some of the damage. A combo of Convention of Elements and Band of Might, for example, will give you extra damage reduction. To complete the Jewelry, you have a number of options for the Amulet slot. A crafted Hellfire Amulet with good rolls and a solid 5th passive like Nerves of Steel, Unforgiving or Brawler is easily the best, and only rivaled by immunity amulets such as Mara's Kaleidoscope and Zephyrian Amulet. A perfect roll would include both crit stats, physical elemental damage, and an open socket. There is some flexibility in the Bracer slot depending on how threatened you feel and the content you're clearing. With perfected gear, crowd control secondary stats become vital for the build in highest endgame progression, as means to proc Ancient Partner defenders. Hard crowd control, such as stuns and freezes, will proc APDs, while soft, chill, slow and blind will not. Chance to stun is a possible roll on gloves, while chance to freeze can be rolled on the belt. Both can roll on weapons. When you obtain several or all of these secondary stats, you can take great advantage of Ancient Partner defenders' scaling damage reduction. Otherwise, stick to the damage increase from Strong Arm Bracers, triggered by Furious Charge knockup, or spawn additional elites to get to the end of the rift faster by equipping Nemesis Bracers. Your 3 Jewelry sockets will be taken up by the legendary gems Bane of the Trapped, Taeguk, and Bane of the Stricken. Bane of the Trapped is a potent source of additional damage, as it is its own multiplier in your total damage calculation. The gem procs itself with its level 25 property and is otherwise kept up by slows and your follower equipment like a Thunder Fury, and your own crowd control secondary stats. Taeguk is the best hybrid of defense and offense among the legendary gem options, and continued whirlwind channeling will ensure your stacks remain capped. While the need for healing will force you anyway, it bears repeating. Never stop whirlwinding, as dropping the Taeguk stacks and building them up from scratch is a significant loss of DPS and toughness. Introduced in Season 4, Bane of the Stricken occupies the third and final jewelry socket in Greater Rift progression, building up your damage multiplicatively in prolonged fights, and with a level 25 bonus specifically targeting Rift Guardians. This gem is designed to assist AoE heavy builds in their struggle against single target high health enemies. In farming content, the value of the gem diminishes greatly, but you'll have to compensate some of the damage oriented skill swaps with the extra toughness of esoteric alteration. Cubing the Furnace provides you with an incomparable source of bonus elite damage, significantly shortening fights with champion packs and Rift Guardians, arguably the most dangerous fights during clears. While hidden away in the cube, Lamentation is a centerpiece of the build that turns the middle of the pack damage of Rend into a doubled up 2200% weapon damage monstrosity. In a Wastes Immortal King hybrid, you will need also a Ring of Royal Grandeur, a cash legendary ring from Act 1 bounties, to tie the two sets together. The ability to run the 6-piece IK bonuses, 4-piece Wastes bonuses, and Focus and Restraint, dodging the undesirable guaranteed stats of the Grandeur by cubing its power, is a major power spike for the build. In the Paragon points, max out movement speed to the 25% cap and spend the rest on strength in the core section. Focus on crit stats and cooldown reduction in offense. Prioritize all resistance and life percentage in defense, and take area damage and resource cost reduction first in utility. And this is it for the Rend Barb. This video was shot live at twitch.tv/thedeadset, where I showcase builds and theory crafting live. I would like to take a moment to thank Icy Veins, the gracious host of my guides, as well as the people that subscribe to my Twitch channel for the month, for supporting the content I create. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you guys next time.